All right, rookies, how we doing? Week 10, week 11. Week 10's in the books. Went 9-6 straight up, 4-2 premium picks overall, 88-62 for straight up for the season. Jeff, how was your week 10?
It was better. I bounced back a little bit. I was 4-1 premium picks, so I'm 59% for the year. And straight up, I was 9-5, so I'm 92-56, so 62% straight up.
Nice. So you can get all our picks and analysis on rookiesbeatbookies.com where you can get all our season picks for a low price of $75. We're up on X, Instagram, and TikTok, so come check us out there. We continue to put out our content on those sites. Jeff and I are going head to head. I think you're up by 5, Jeff. And with no movement from last week from straight up. So we got 7 weeks to go. I need to make up some room this week. Hey, Watson's out for a season. If you didn't hear it, due to a shoulder injury. Arcane, I think that's how you say it. Herbert and Stafford are expected back. Herbert, that's the guy for the running back for the Bears. Carr suffered another injury, but he's on bye week, so you have to check him. Looks like Jefferson and Fields are expected to return and could thrust the Vikings in contention for the playoffs with Dobbs playing very well in Minnesota. So a couple more injuries to think about as we get closer to Sunday. Mac Jones with a bruise, Dameon Pierce with an ankle, Madison really watched this close running back for the Vikings with a concussion, Stevenson with a back, Mozart is an undisclosed in Miami, but if they get the rookie back, it might not be as a big a deal. Williams is a knee, looking like he's returning in week 12. I talked about Herbert coming back for the Bears this week, Wilson with an elbow, Nico Collins with a calf. Watch that one close with that Texans Cardinals game. He's been a great player for CJ Stroud. Chark with an elbow, Allen with a shoulder, and Jamar Chase has got a back. Looking like so watch those guys if those are your guys and you're thinking about betting on those games. Before we get to Jeff's thoughts on the injuries, Colts, Pats, Saints, and Falcons are on bye week. And there are no teams going on bye in week 13. Jeff, thoughts on week 10 injuries and returnees that will impact your betting in this week?
Well, so for the Cincinnati game, I heard Higgins is out. I heard Herbert is actually had a setback. Not Herbert, sorry. Burrow had a little bit of a setback. And then we've got Jamar Chase that's still a little hobbled. So we've got 3 high-profile offensive players that are either out or hobbled for Cincinnati. So that did impact my pick this week. And then Cleveland, while having the injury to Watson is significant, I think the line swung too much. So I'm actually thinking it's maybe a pickup for Cleveland against the spread bet instead of a detriment.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, the games last week were fascinating. But I'll get to those at the end of this. As we go through the different games, I want to talk about that after that before we go to the straight up picks. So we're going to begin with the Panthers hosting the Cowboys and their home dogs at plus 10.5. The over-under is at 42 and a hook. The Panthers lost a close one to the Bears while the Cowboys beat the bricks off the Giants. Last time we saw the Cowboys had crushed the Jets and lost to the Cards the following week. Is this some similar thing? I don't know. I don't see it happening at all this time. The Panthers have given up 29 sacks, and Young has not had time to throw. And that doesn't get better with Dallas D coming to town. I would lean toward Dallas covering and this thing getting over the 42 total. Jeff?
So definitely got Dallas winning the game. I do think they play differently away from home for sure, and then on different turf. So I think they're a little slower when they're not at home on Texas Stadium turf. So I think I've got Dallas Dallas winning, but Carolina covering in this one.
All right, that's a good call. This seems like a good spot for the Panthers to play hard and the Cowboys to kind of overlook them. They've done that this season. I would expect that could happen again. Next up, the Packers host the Chargers and are home dogs +3. The over-unders at 44. Packers are coming in banged up on both sides of the ball. Jones, Watson, Jenkins on offense. Clark, Walker, Alexander, Ford on D. Watch Allen's status closely. That's Keenan Allen, obviously. And Everett at tight end and Day at nose tackle on D for the Chargers. AFC is 31-21 against the NFC. So it's a good spot for the Chargers. Green Bay is 10-2 overall in this matchup with the Chargers. LA did win the last one in 2019. And you got to go back to 1984 when the Chargers won in Lambeau Field. Lynn Dickey was the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and Faust was the quarterback for San Diego. I like the Chargers winning here on the road, but I like Green Bay to cover here. Jeff, does Lambeau Field matter?
So I don't think it matters as much with Jordan Love as quarterback. They don't have a Favre or a Rodgers. And I think, so my feeling is that the Chargers are improving on offense as they're getting used to Kellen Moore's system. So I think I'm seeing a little bit of improvement offensively from them that I'm going to ride right now. So I'm going to go Chargers to win and to cover.
Okay. I think I'm going the opposite way. That's one we'll talk about. It's not a premium pick for me, but I would lean toward the Packers at home. Next up, the Watsonless Browns host the Steelers and are favored now by 1.5. Jeff, it might be down to 1. The over-under dropped to 33. I saw it 33.5, but I saw it 33 earlier. Watson is gone for the season. Chubb had a second knee injury, and the Browns remain favored. The Steelers got past the Browns at home in week 2, 26-22. The only game they put up more than 25 points on the season. That is obviously the Steelers. It looks like I thought it was going to be PJ Walker that got to start, but I guess they're going with the rookie Dorian. So he's looked like he's going to get the nod. So I would expect a little bit more ball control from Cleveland. Cleveland is 3-1 at home since 19, but Pittsburgh is 6-4 in this matchup overall. I like the Browns here to step up and shut down the Steelers getting the win, and I'm staying away from the total. I don't know who's going to score in this game. Can Cleveland win without Watson, Jeff?
I think they can. This was one of the games I checked right before we got online, and it was down to 1 point, and it was down to 32 over under.
Wow.
So everything's been coming in, knocking the points and knocking Cleveland. I think they've knocked them too much. I mean, when I checked Tuesday, Cleveland was a 14-point favorite, and now they're a 1-point favorite. 13 points seems a lot for one player. And especially, I don't think Watson was playing otherworldly. He was just being good. So I like Cleveland to win and to cover here.
What do you think about that total at 32?
I think it's too low. I think even with, I think Cleveland was just running down Baltimore's throat at the end of last week, and Baltimore is a pretty good defense too, just like Pittsburgh. So I think they can still run the ball.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I would lean toward the over if it gets that low. 32 seems a little like a baseball game. Hey, the Dolphins host the resurgent Raiders coming in with a 2-game win streak since canning the GM, head coach McDaniels, and the offensive coordinator Lombardi. Dolphins are now favored by 13.5, and the over-under is set at 46.5. Miami looks to get Arcane back from IR. Not sure if he will be a go this weekend, but looks like he was in practice. A couple of O-line with questionable status for the game for Miami, along with Waddle and Mostert. Meanwhile, left tackle Miller carries a Q rating for the Raiders. This is a pure, do you like the coach and the grit of the Raiders team bet for sure. Miami is number 1 in offensive production and scoring. Meanwhile, the Raiders are 27th in scoring and 31st in offensive production. Pretty big disparity. The Dolphins' D is not actually bad at 12th in total defense, only giving up 106 a game in the rushing department, which is the strength of the Raiders' offense. Miami is 3-1 coming off a bye. I like Miami to win. some here tells me the Raiders are going to stay close to every single game they're in for the remainder of the season because of the coaching staff. Jeff, is this a blowout win in South Beach?
I'm going to agree with you on your picks, although I think Miami is very similar to Dallas for the AFC. I think when they face lesser teams, they tend to blow them out. And then when they face other quality teams, they shrink and they lose the game. So I was originally thinking a blowout here, but we've got a couple of injured receivers. We've got A-Chain coming back from an injury, and we have some offensive line questions there still. And the Raiders have done much better since the coaching change. So I'm going the Raiders to cover, but Miami to win.
Now, would you, if it were a 7.5, would you go with Miami, or is it the 13.5 that's pushing you to cover the Raiders?
It's only the 13.5.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think it's a disrespectful 13.5 for the coach. Yep. And I also question, Vegas is set. It's almost like easy money too, right? I mean, Vegas, the bookies have won twice on the Raiders. They weren't winning anything on the Raiders. They may keep these totals and spreads against the Raiders, and the Raiders cover. And so you have to, this is probably why you didn't.
I haven't seen the big money coming in on their bets yet, so I don't think they're going to adjust the lines. So I think they're still a little undervalued.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably why you don't have a professional football team in Las Vegas, because they can play around with that a little bit. But you heard it. I didn't say it. I'm just thinking out loud. Hey, next up, the Lions host the Bears and are favored by 9. The over/under at 47.5. Fields looks to return for the rest of for the meat of the Bears' schedule as they face off against the Lions twice, Cleveland and Minnesota. It's a tough schedule to finish up with. Edmonds and Davis are questionable for the Bears. 3-3 since 2020 with the Lions. The Lions winning all the games last season. This feels like a 38-24 game in my mind, and I would lean toward the Lions to win, but staying away from the spread. Keep in mind the last 2 matchups went over. It seems when the Lions win and have a better team, the total goes over the total. And when the Bears win, they tend to go under 44 points. Jeff, still like your Lions in this spot?
I do. I think they are. I'm going to put them in the same category with with Dallas and Miami. They tend to do really well when they've got the even or better advantage for talent. So I think here they do. And I think Fields probably should have just rested a little bit longer this year. I don't think I would rush him back. So I think Detroit comes in and handles this game pretty well. So I take them straight up and with the points.
Yeah, you heard it here. Take the Lions. I think this was close to being my free pick, so it's almost like 2 free picks. I think 9 points.
One of my 2 options. Yes.
I think 9 points. I think they easily get over that.
Yep.
Hey, next up, the Commanders host the Giants are home favorites by 9.5. Giants remain in the Caleb Williams lottery with a 2-8 record and getting shellacked by the Cowboys last week. It's kind of embarrassing as Cowboys won the 2 games series at 89-17 this year. That's terrible. I think beating them every game, I think betting them to lose every game is not going to work, though, as the money line is skewed against the Giants. So Vegas is going to force you to take the points against them, and that may not work for Vegas either. That being said, if you bet them money line to lose every game and they cover one of the games, well, you're going to lose out. I think that I might begin, though, with a Caleb Williams parlay, betting straight up against the Giants, Bears, Cardinals, and Pats. That might be a round robin, bet that I make every week.
I hadn't thought of it.
So that game, that parlay this week would be a plus 116 as the Pats are on bye. But at least you bring down the odds on the money line. And I'm not sure. I mean, that being said, the Cardinals are kind of with Murray back in the fold here. I think they're in a unique position to win a couple of games. Jeff, who do you like here in DC?
I like Washington. I'm a little surprised by how well Sam Howell has played at quarterback for Washington. He actually leads the league in passing yards, so wouldn't have predicted that at the first of the season. And the Giants are just so terrible. That Dallas game, they shouldn't have scored 17. They should have given up 70 probably if they had continued to push through the whole game. So New York was absolutely pathetic. I just don't see them being that bad again this week. So Washington to win straight up, but Giants keep it closer than people think.
All right, you heard it here. Jeff, I have to tell you, I think the NFL's quarterback play due to the injuries is a real problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the NFL gets around it. I think the rule of allowing a third quarterback was good, but quite frankly, you talked about Sam Howell, right? He was a good quarterback at North Carolina. I think he was the third or fourth pick. I think every NFL team should draft a rookie quarterback every single year, or at least bring in one that was undrafted just to keep on the roster and pay him to be on the practice squad. Right. I would assume, and you may have to pay him a little bit more to be on the practice squad, but I would definitely do that, because the embarrassment that some of these teams are facing because of the quarterback play is unacceptable, in my opinion, as a professional team. And
I agree.
I don't know where the college quarterbacks go that that are good enough to play at a top 25 team in college, maybe top 10, but their game doesn't translate necessarily to the NFL, but it does translate to the NFL if all the starting quarterbacks are hurt, right? And you're on the first team whack guy that you brought in. I just don't understand the economics of why you don't bring in a couple of these, pro style quarterbacks from, Penn State, Syracuse,
Iowa State, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy from Iowa State. Those are the kind of plays that, they can save your franchise, quite frankly. I think it's something that the NFL teams need to do. And I think the league should encourage an additional couple of quarterback positions, because this is just ridiculous, in my opinion. The NFL needs to address this. And if the quarterbacks are going to keep getting hurt like this, it's not good.
It's going to continue. I think almost all quarterbacks are being forced to be a little more mobile in today's game, and most of them are going to get injured at some point during the season. So you're going to have a lot more backup quarterbacks needed in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I love a guy like CJ Stroud, right? I love CJ Stroud. I think the Houston Texans made an amazing pick. Sure, he can run, but you know what? His fourth option is still looking down the field. He will run when forced to run, right? Kind of like Mahomes. Mahomes has always got is looking downfield. He's not a run first guy. And I actually think that's going to be a huge advantage for CJ as he moves forward in his career. And I think it's going to save him, time that would otherwise be spent hurt on the sidelines, because he gets the ball out quick to his playmakers, and he's looking at that third and fourth option already as a rookie. Just amazing. All right, but we're not there to the Texans yet. Let's go back to the Jags. So the Jags limp into week 11 after an absolute beatdown in their own house by the 49ers. Physically, they got beat in all aspects of the game. The Titans come in with an 0-2 game skid as well. Their quarterback had a great game against the Falcons with 4 touchdowns, but the NFL defense have been able to kind of put pressure on him in the right areas in the last 2 games and have really hindered the Titans from getting going. This feels like a bounce back game for the Jags. I would lean to the over here and take the Jags straight up and ATS.
So I'm taking.
You like the Jags, or
I'm taking
get back on track, Jeff?
Straight up, but there is a history of teams after they play San Francisco typically lose the next week. they almost always fail to cover because San Francisco is so physical. So I'm taking Jacksonville to win, but I don't think they cover. And I really am surprised at how poorly they played on offense last year. I thought, another year under Doug Peterson as coach, and they would take a step up, and they haven't. So I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. I'm a little disappointed in him.
Well, when the 49ers adding Chase Young, Jeff, I mean,
Oh, that was awesome on their part.
I mean, how many times did Young and Bosa meet in the backfield sacking Lawrence last week? It had to have been a half a dozen times.
And high five and reminisce about their old Ohio State days.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, they were on the sidelines like they were about to go to a kegger after the game. I mean, it's almost should have been illegal to allow that trade to go through.
Yep.
I have a hard time not thinking the 49ers are going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl as long as they can keep some of their offensive players healthy. Moving on to the Cards and the Houston. The Cards are traveling to Houston to take on the MVP Stroud-led Texans. CJ is plus 2,500 for the MVP of the league. Now, no rookie ever wins that. But he's already locked up Rookie of the Year, but plus 2,500, he's like the sixth quarterback or sixth player down there, and I think all of them are quarterbacks. I think Hurts is favored the most, plus 300. But anyway, the Texans are favored by -5, and the over/under set at 47 a hook. Collins, Jordan, and Pierce are questionable on offense, and Toto, Ward, Hassan on D. Humphreys and Clone are questionable for the Cards on the offensive line. The Cards welcome back their quarterback and got their win last week at home against the Falcons on a last-minute field goal. That was a nice win. I loved it. CJ's been on a tear, clearly Rookie of the Year, legitimate MVP for the league. I feel like the total is about right, but this feels like a good spot for the Cardinals here to cover. Feels like a field goal game to me, Jeff. Jeff, did the Texans go 3-0 in their last 3 games?
The straight up is questionable. I think Arizona keeps it very close. I think Kyler Murray is going to be a big addition, and I think C.J. Stroud has a very good knack for coming back. I don't know a rookie quarterback has the killer instinct to put a team away. So definitely think Arizona keeps it close right now. I'm leaning a little bit towards Arizona for the straight up win, but that's one of my closer picks.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals straight up as well. Hey, the Bucs travel to San Francisco and are dogs by 11.5 on the road. The over/under is set at 41 under the hook. The Bucs and the 49ers won last week, and the 49ers with Debo back look like they did at the beginning of the season. Hayes, Davis, Feller are questionable along with Baker, but Baker is a go with the thumb. Banks and McKivitz on the O-line are banged up for the 49ers, but they look to play. These are two pretty good defenses, with the 49ers giving up 15 a game and Tampa Bay giving up 19 a game at 8th. Offense is the biggest disparity in the run game. The Bucs are 31st at 78 yards a game. The 49ers are 6th at 134. I was very impressed with the shutdown last week of the Jags offense with the addition of Young. We just talked about it. This is an easy straight up pick. I like the 49ers covering the game and going, and I feel like this thing goes under as well. Jeff, can the Bucs even compete in this one?
No, I don't think so. I think San Francisco is that good that unless you get one of the top couple of other 2 or 3 teams in the league against them, I think they're going to easily win every game the rest of the season as long as they're healthy. Now, I have been pretty impressed with Mayfield. Talking about Jacksonville a minute ago, he's really outperforming Trevor Lawrence in most statistical categories this year. So, definitely surprising to me. I give him credit, but no, they can't hang with San Fran. I take them to win and against the spread.
Okay. Is this one of your free picks, Jeff, or no?
This is my free pick. I forgot to mention that, so I will come back to that one. But yeah, it's a free pick. This is an easy one for me.
Yeah. All right, rookies. I didn't want to pick this one too because that would be too easy, but this is definitely a free pick for Jeff for the week. Take San Francisco at home minus 11.5. Next up, the 5-5 Bills host the Jets and are favored by 7 with the over-under set at 40.5. Hyde is questionable for the Bills. The Bills have lost the last 2 and face the Eagles next week on the road, so this is kind of a must-win. They need this win to make the playoffs, Jeff. Their next 5 games are the Eagles, KC, Dallas Chargers. Then they got like the Pats, and they finish up against Miami. It's a tough schedule to finish up with. And a loss here essentially knocks them out of the playoff picture. Likely rain and snow at game time, over 60% chance. The Jets are in equal position, but have an easier schedule the rest of the way. So if they could go 2-0 against the Bills, the Jets could actually make the playoffs. I think the Jets are going to want to keep this thing competitive. The Bills have been losing games against the spreads since the Jags lost, and I think that's when Milano went out. They've really missed him on the defensive side of the ball. I like Buffalo to win and cover here, and try to save their season. Jeff, who do you like here?
Numbers tell me that Buffalo should win, and it probably should be a premium pick for me to say they cover. But they have lost for me too often this year, and something is up with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. There is something missing in that combination, and I don't know that they just automatically get it right, especially not against a really good Jets defense. So I'm going to go Buffalo to win this game, maybe a little bit of a spark from changing OCs this week, but the Jets have kept better quarterbacks under wraps, so I think they keep it close.
Better quarterbacks under wraps. That is a call out if I've ever heard one, and rightly so to Bills Nation. I've lost a lot of money on the Bills this year. So the oddest game line of the week is the Seattle Seahawks traveling to LA to face off against the Rams. The Seahawks are favored by 1 point. The over-under set at 46 and a hook. The Rams got the win in week 1 in Seattle, and since that game, the teams have taken different paths. The Rams have had many injuries and are 3-6, while the Seahawks are 6-3. Interesting, these two teams are very similar in scoring and yards gained and given up, although the injuries at either quarterback and running back at different parts of the season have really hurt the Rams. Lockett and Lewis carry a questionable rating for the Hawks, and Puka, Haverstein, and Durant are questionable for the Rams. This feels like a lock to me, Jeff, for the Hawks. And the point spread it seems like it'd be 7 or 5. It's basically a pick'em game. So I'm concerned that I'm missing something. I don't know what I'm missing, but that doesn't matter. This is my free pick of the week. Take the Seahawks -1 to get it done in LA. Jeff, did the Rams go 2-1 against the Hawks this season?
I don't think so. I'm with you on the Seattle win. I think the Rams are typically going from a big market. They're going to get a little bit of a bump in the Vegas point spread just because of the interest in them. And I think Stafford is probably, while he'll play, I think he's probably still a little limited with that thumb. And you've got Puka injured. So I don't see them being able to put up many points against Seattle. So yeah, Seattle should win this game.
All right. So you got 2 free picks. Mine, take the Hawks -1. And Jeff, take the
Niners
-11.5 against the Bucks. And a quasi free pick for me is the Bills -7. Sunday night, the Broncos
My
host.
other questionable one was Detroit. I really feel good about that game.
And questionable one. This is a tough week. There's a lot of good picks to be made. Hey, Sunday night, the Broncos host the Vikings. Are favored by 2.5. The over-under is 42 and a hook. Bowers, Mims, Brownings have questionable status for the Broncos. Madison, Hawkinson, and Evans have a Q rating for the Vikings. Looks like Jefferson is back. The AFC is 31-21 against the AFC teams. These teams don't play often. Minnesota won the last meeting in 2019 and hold the career record 8-7. I think they don't play often because purple and orange just don't go together. The Vikings are coming in on a 5-game win streak, and the Broncos on a 3-game win streak, beating the Chiefs and Bills in that streak. Toughest game to pick for me, but I'm taking the Vikings straight up on this one, Jeff, on the road. Who do you like on Sunday evening?
So Denver's definitely improved on defense. And I think Sean Payton has kind of figured out what to do with Russell Wilson. I don't think he's playing that great, but he's being more efficient now. And that defense, even with Jefferson back, first week back, I don't think he'll be up to normal production. So I think Denver wins this game. Right now, I have it close enough that Minnesota probably covers, but that's one of my iffies. I don't think I'll actually take the spread on this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't even bet this one straight up other than I have to, but I'm still going to go with I'm going to ride Dobbs until he disappoints. I say that. I was going to ride Purdy until he disappointed, and the next week he disappointed. So here I go. Hey, brace yourself for Monday night, game of the week. The Chiefs host the Eagles and are favored by 2.5 with the over-under set at 45 and a hook. The Chiefs are coming in off of a win against the Dolphins and a bye in Week 10. The Week 9 win against the Dolphins and the bye in Week 10. Meanwhile, the Eagles won a tough one against Dallas at home. 74% of the bets are coming in on Philly, which is fascinating given the Chiefs are playing at home and how good both these teams are. Chiefs have won the last 4, including Super Bowl 57. This is a rematch. All matchups have gone over 42 points since 2001. 45 seems low for this matchup. The Chiefs' defense is likely the best I've seen since Mahomes came to Kansas City. They are second in the league in points allowed, giving up about 16 a game. It's like 15 and some change. The Eagles' D has been doing enough to win, giving up 22 a game. The Eagles' offense is so efficient in points per game at 20 and at third in the league at 28 points a game and 6th in yards and 8th in time of possession. Really good offense. After a bye, though, Kansas City is a perfect 7-0 since 2017, while 2-5 to the under after a bye. Likely the 45.5 total for the game is about right. Philly is 6-8 to the over with rest disadvantage and 8-5-1 straight up. I'm going Chiefs here, straight up. I don't know about the points. Jeff, who wins this game of the week?
I'm going Chiefs as well. There's 2 main reasons. One, Andy Reid from a bye is very good, so I think he'll have them well prepared and a few new wrinkles. And Mahomes at home in the month of November is undefeated. So I think those 2 things carry me. I'm still not impressed with Kansas City's receiving core, but Philadelphia doesn't have a great secondary. So I think that probably evens out. And I think Mahomes is the difference here.
All right, there you go, rookies. That's our week rundown. We're going to go over our straight up picks. So we're going to start off with the Ravens tonight. I'm taking the Ravens over the Bengals, Jeff.
Same here.
I got the Cowboys over the Panthers, straight up.
Straight up for Dallas.
I got Browns over Steelers, despite Watson being out.
I think they're being undervalued. I like Cleveland here.
Lions over the Bears.
I like the Lions. Yep.
I like the Packers over the Chargers. We may differ here.
I'm going Chargers in this one.
I like the Dolphins over the Raiders.
Same here.
Straight up.
Straight up, yes.
Uh-huh. I like the Commanders over the Giants.
Same here. Washington.
I like the Jags over the Titans.
I like Jacksonville. It's closer than I would like, but yes.
I like the Texans over the Cards straight up.
I'm going to go Arizona in that one.
I'm riding CJ. I got
Not
the
a bad
49ers
person.
over the Bucks.
49ers was my free pick, yes.
I got Bills over the Jets.
I'll still go Bills, even though they've disappointed.
Got Seahawks over the Rams.
Same for me.
I got Vikings over the Broncos. Think you're going the other way?
I am going Denver straight up, yes.
Okay, and I'm going Chiefs over the Eagles.
Kansas City for me.
All right, so you're up by 5. We got 3 games: Texans, Cardinals, Vikings, Broncos, and Packers,
Mhm.
Chargers that are different. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was a couple of trends, and I wanted to save this till the end. And I need to go to another sheet here. So the AFC, the AFC's obviously 31-21 so far this year, which is a really big advantage. But what's fascinating is, or I'm sorry, the AFC, it's fascinating some of the trends in the AFC. The NFC has been pretty equal. So either overs or wins have been pretty equal. But just to lay it out, the Buffalo Bills are 0-6 in the last 6 games over the spread. So against the spread. And they, of those same games, they are 1-5 under the total. I mean, if that's not a trend, I don't know what a trend is. So, and sometimes what I've noticed is those trends break, and that's what I'm betting this week is that trend actually breaks this week and they get back on track. And then the Pats. So coming off the bye, the Pats are, they are 2-8 to the under. So I could see the Pats getting over the remainder of the games. And the Raiders are in the same boat. The Raiders are 1-9 to the under so far this season. So I bet them over last week. I missed on that. It was by 5 points, but those spreads are coming down. I'm going to continue to bet those going over. And then surprisingly, and this is just shocking to me, Jeff, the Chiefs are 0-5 to the under in the last 5 games. I mean, and the Broncos are 0-4 to the under. And, so the Chargers had been 0-5 to the under, and then last week they went 79 points with the Lions. So I'm looking at those kind of trends to break because I don't see those trends lasting the entire season. Where the NFC has been like, a lot. There's not a lot of 5 and 6, unders or missing against the spread, except for the Panthers, but they're just a terrible football team this year. So any thoughts on trends, Jeff?
I agree with you that those trends should break at some point with 2 questions. Buffalo is a question for me. I think the offensive coordinator change might be a spark, but it's not just Josh Allen. It's the Allen to Stephon Diggs dynamic that seems broken to me. And so I'm not sure that that's going to turn around. And honestly, for Kansas City, I think they have the worst receiving core in the league. I don't know how Mahomes is doing what he continues to do with this group of receivers, but it's really Kelsey and a bunch of running backs playing receiver, just athletes. So though I can certainly see them staying under unless they get some receiver to step up for them.
Yeah, I don't know how you win without having a true number 1 or number 2 receiver. So yeah. I kind of look at the Chiefs and I kind of see a lot of slot receivers punching above their weight. And they've been pulling it off and winning, which is a tribute to the coach and the quarterback.
And you read Mahomes, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, but I don't know that is I don't know that's a winning recipe, especially coming after a Super Bowl win. And you could have re-signed Smith-Schuster. I mean, he's a little bit older guy, but I mean, he's still a clutch guy, right? And I don't feel like they have that go-to guy other than Kelsey and the running backs. I agree with you on that one, Jeff.
Yeah, I really like what Kansas City has done roster-wise because they focused on the defense and the offensive line, but they really should have done something to provide another weapon for Mahomes. I think one weapon puts them over the top, and they just didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, but I will tell you, Jeff, that defense is pretty special, and that is the principal reason why their games are not going over. because their defense is able to hold. I mean, 16 points a game, and it's really not 16. I just round up. It's like 15 point something, right?
Yep.
I mean, and that's just, fascinating that they've been able to do that. Best defense in Kansas City since Mahomes has been there,
Definitely.
for sure. I think it's equal to the defense they had when they started out 11-0 when Alex Smith was there, back in like 2011 or 12 when they went 11-0 and made it to the playoffs. That was a great defense too for the Chiefs. But yeah, a lot going on this week. No, would you have thought last week that the Ravens, Bengals, and Bills would have all lost?
I certainly didn't bet on that happening, which is unfortunate. Because I've actually heard of some people making big parlay bets where those were some of the tipping points that took them over the top. But I didn't see that happening. I thought Baltimore was the best team in the AFC, and I still think that way. I think they got exposed a little bit run defensive wise at the end of the game, but I still really like them. Cincinnati's just too banged up. I'm not sure if they're going to get it back together. In Buffalo, I think their window has passed. So I'm looking Baltimore to really make a run to the #1 seed over in the AFC.
Yeah, so just like I said last week that this would be an over week. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. So it was 8-8 to the over. I'm sorry, yeah, 8-6 to the over, which is the first time in a while we've had more games go over than under. But fascinating that we had 6 outright winners, underdog winners, and we had 8 ATS winners, right? So, and quite frankly, had the Packers made an extra point, that'd have been a cover, or that'd have been a even for you'd have pushed the Steelers Packers game. So I mean, last week was a tough one. It was a tough one and I'm sure Vegas made out last week. I mean, I guarantee you they did. The books had to have made a lot of money.
There were 6 walk-off field goals last week, which is the most in NFL history. There's never been 6 game-winning field goals.
Right. And I think I was 3-3 on those. So I felt great. If I'd have been 0-6, I'd have been really disappointed.
Yep.
All right. That's all I got, Jeff.
Nope, that little tidbit was the last thing I've got as well. So that's it.
All right. Good luck, rookies. We'll see you next week.